Good morning, Buff families. Thank you so much for joining us for our on-campus housing Buff family webinar. I see we have a lot of folks online, so we are going to go ahead and get started with our on-campus housing webinar this morning. So first, welcome to CU Boulder. New Student and Family Programs is hosting this webinar with our Student Housing Office, and we wanted to begin with our contact information. So if you're looking for up-to-date information for families, we wanted you to make sure you knew about New Student and Family Programs contact information. If you have called our office and worked with one of our Journey Leader mentors, these are some of our Journey Leader mentors and one of our program coordinators here while we were still back working in our office with Chip. We are all working remotely from home now, so we are not in this lovely office space, but we are all joining you this morning to help answer some of your questions and talk about student housing. So welcome, my name is Bree Judy Waterman. I'm a program coordinator. I'm right here in the middle, and this picture is of my fellow New Student and Family Programs professional staff team. And this morning, the outline of our webinar hour is we're going to do a brief welcome from New Student and Family Programs, and then I'm going to turn it over to Student Housing to give a presentation and answer out loud some of the top 5 questions that our families are asking. And then we will turn it over to an open facilitated Q&A. So I will ask that you utilize the Q&A feature for our questions, and you are welcome to ask those throughout. But also know that at the end of the presentation, we are going to address the top 5 concerns on families' minds right now, as well as any trends that we see in the Q&A. We will go ahead and answer those out loud. So welcome. We're so excited to have you here. I've been here at CU Boulder for 3 years, and this summer is our first time offering all of these webinars and coffee hours, and the response that we've seen from families has just been fantastic. So thank you all for joining and engaging, and any students that are on the webinar as well today. We are so excited to have you here. So briefly, we wanted to tell you about what our office does. So I showed you that picture of the 5 of us professional staff that work in the office. And we also have this wonderful group of orientation leaders that we call our Journey Leaders. So we have some Journey Leader mentors and Journey Leaders who are here to support your students through the transition process. The fact that you are at this webinar leads me to believe that you already know about some of the things that our office does to support our Buff families, but I wanted to make sure you know where to find it on our website. So New Student and Family Programs offers a lot of different things for our families, and I wanted to make sure that you could see where that's at on our website. So here's our lovely New Student and Family Programs website. And when you click on the Families tab, the very first welcome is for any new Buff families. So if you click this New Buff Families button there, it'll show you our other webinar series as well as our coffee hour series. So in case you missed some of those, the recordings are posted and hyperlinked here. And then I also wanted to make sure you saw where the Boulder Bound family newsletters are archived. So if you are not seeing any emails from New Student and Family Programs, you can actually click these links, and any new Buff families should be receiving the Boulder Bound family newsletter. So check those out there. And then we also have the Buff Family Resource Hub. This is a great starting place for families who are lost trying to find information, because it can be really difficult on the main Colorado website to find things. So if you start here and you're interested in finances, you can click on each of these tiles. So for example, finances, I had a dad call me yesterday who was looking to figure out how to become an authorized payer so that he can see the bill and pay for that. So right here is where you would hyperlink click to all of these different things about tuition and fees and billing. So some really great information on the Buff Family Resource Hub. So you can always return, and there's the hub. And then if you still are like, well, wait a minute, how am I not on this email list? We do our best to try to get as many emails from the Office of Admissions of our Buff families. But if we don't have your contact information, go ahead and sign up for the Buff Family Newsletter. So you'll click Buff Family Newsletter, sign up here, and these are the newsletters that go out to all Buff families throughout the semester. So this isn't just the Boulder bound for new families. This will actually go out twice a month all throughout the academic year. And you can see the archived newsletters here. Awesome. So now that you've seen a little bit more about what New Student and Family Programs offers, we want to know a little bit about you all. So I'm going to take a quick poll, and we would like to know who's joining us today. Are you an in-state, out-of-state, or international family? Is this your first student in college? Is this your first student to go to CU Boulder? And are you a first-year transfer or returning student? And then in regards to housing, were you phase 1, 2, or 3 in the housing application? Awesome, thank you all. I already see that 460 of you have voted, and more of you are getting those votes in, so you're seeing the polls coming up. So we largely have 63% out of state, 55% of you, this is your first student in college, 88% of you, this is your first Buff in the family. Overwhelmingly, this is everyone's first year, so your student is a first year. And then we have 42% in phase 1, 25% in phase 2, and 33% in phase 3. So thank you all for getting those votes in. I'm gonna let a few more of you, I see a few more that are trickling into our polls, but thank you all so much. We are always just curious to see who is joining us, and that also helps Kim address some of the housing questions by being able to see who's in phase 1, 2, and 3. So I am going to go ahead and end the polling just so that we can move on to the next part of our presentation. But thank you for everyone who was able to vote in our welcome poll. Another resource that I always share with all families on webinars, coffee hours, when I have them on the phone is, have you seen the roadmap to fall 2020 plan? So we are getting updates throughout the summer regarding what the plans are. And so if you have not seen colorado.edu/roadmap yet, I highly recommend for families and students to really spend some time exploring this, because there is a ton of information in here. So if you're looking for updates about what the health and safety measures on campus are going to look like during COVID, what the implementation plan is, and what are our modes of operation, you can click on each of these links and find out more information. And then to stay up to date with any announcements, if you're on the colorado.edu/COVID-19 website, you can see the campus announcements over here on the left-hand side. So you can see all of the email communication that has gone out to students, families, etc. So I, again, would really recommend exploring this website, and this links you back to the roadmap. So if you're on the roadmap and then you're on the coronavirus website, you can always go back and forth and see the campus announcements there. And then we are going to talk about the updated housing and move-in guide. So we'll talk about that later, but those links are super helpful. And we have our Journey Leader mentors as well as other professional staff helping to answer your questions in the Q&A right now. So if you're like, wait, Bree, what link did you just send? The students and staff who are helping us on the webinar this morning should be able to send you any of these hyperlinks. So just feel free to ask. And then last but not least, we are going to only cover as much as we can today in this webinar hour. So if you have questions afterwards, we are a resource. If you have questions, please give us a call or email us. Another checklist that's really helpful for supporting your student is actually on our website. And this time it's under the Undergraduate Students tab. So I showed you families before, but on Undergraduate Students, you can scroll down here to these important next steps. And then most of you were first year students. There's transfer and international, but I'll click on first year students so you can see this awesome checklist that we've provided. So hopefully you have already done many of these steps, and each box you can see has links, hyperlinks, information. And if you're just like, I need a starting place to check in with my student to see more information, again, I would highly recommend this is a good place to start, because you can follow along and see if your student is completing each of these steps. And then it's really important that you encourage your student to check their CU email daily. That is our official form of communication. So we need your students to be checking their colorado.edu email every day so that they are keeping up to date with everything that we are sending, that student housing is sending. So again, please make sure to encourage them. And we really want to view our families as partners in this process. That's why I was so excited when we had an overwhelming response from our families on joining this webinar today. And we really want you throughout not only this experience, but your child's journey throughout college to think about your student is behind the wheel and you're in the passenger seat. So really let them lead their journey and support and guide them in a positive way about trying new experiences and learning. And with that, the new student and family programs portion will resume after I turn it over to Kim for a little bit. So Kim, whenever you are ready, go ahead and take it away.
Well, good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Very excited for this opportunity to speak with as many of you as possible. I'm sure that you've been talking to my team over the last several months since we opened our application in February, and we love talking with our families and our students and giving you as much information as possible. So my name is Kimberly Foster. I know I was addressed as Kim, but wanted you to be aware that if I ever did get an email, my name is Kimberly in email. So you're welcome to call me Kim or Kimberly. I am the Assistant Director for Occupancy Management at Student Housing. So when you call us, you'll hear student housing or our email is student housing. So you've been receiving lots of emails and communication from us over the last several weeks, if not the last several months. I wanted to share a few things with you about myself and about our team. I've been at CU for 17 years. I have worked in housing the entire time. So while I'm not a complete expert in every single building, I've had plenty of time and can answer most questions. Also, I just wanted to let you know that I also have children as well. I have 2 boys. I have teenagers. So I can understand where many of you are at, because we're in the same place together in some ways. And our team is also working from home and have been since March. So we are a pretty small team. If you've called our office, you may have talked to everyone because there's not too many of us. So hopefully we are getting your questions answered and doing the best we can to give you the information that's available. It's important to remember that we may not have the answer that you're looking for, but we attempt to be as transparent as we can about the information that we have at the time, and want you to make sure you walk away with the information that we have. And hopefully you've had a good experience with us. Also, I know, I just want to let you know that one of the things that I think is most challenging for our families and challenging for us right now as well is that the information that we're sharing with you is broad information. We decided it was really important for our families to understand what is happening and what is coming up, even if we might not have all of the information available to you to be able to implement. So what we're doing is we're sharing information for you so that you can plan and be prepared. And then as the information becomes available for you to implement and act on, that's when we're sharing that information. So I see a lot of questions coming in, and we receive a lot of questions about COVID and COVID testing for MoveIn. And that's a great example of, hey, we want to give you a heads up. We're several weeks out yet, and this is what we're going to need to do as we plan to open. So we want to give you a heads up so you can prepare and figure out, which many of you are doing, I can see, figure out like where are my testing sites? What does this mean for me and my family as we get prepared? And then as we get closer, we will give you the more specific details to help you implement that process. Because as you all know, as it's happening everywhere around the country, things are changing on a day-to-day basis sometimes, just depending on where we're at. So our goal is to give you the most accurate information at the time that you need it. So I know many of you have been extremely patient with us as we share information, and we continue to ask that, and hopefully knowing what our strategy is will be helpful to you as we move forward. To go into a few things, I did prepare some of the things that I think are salient for most people. And so as we go through, we'll get as many of your questions answered as we can. So a couple of things I just wanted to clarify and make sure that we're all understanding. As many of you are registering for MoveIn Days, you're also aware of what we call DropIn Days. And so I just wanted to be clear what DropIn Days are. So these are limited. Not everybody will have the opportunity to sign up for a drop-in day, and you must sign up. The sign up is in the registration after MoveIn. You sign up in the CU Living portal, and this is only to drop off items. All the items that you bring must be in a container and packaged. So in a suitcase, in boxes, in containers with lids, and everything needs to be labeled with students' names. And this is just a drop-off. So the student will come in, they will get access to the room. They can bring 2 guests with them, and then you unload the car, you drop it in the room, you shut and lock the door, and you leave. So students will not be able to unpack items during drop-off days. And drop-off days were intended to allow people, mostly our local students, to be able to come in, drop their things off, and help us reduce the impact of people on campus during MoveIn Days. So we see there's quite a few people signed up for drop-off days. So while we had the opportunity, we wanted to make sure that you understood exactly what it was and that you were signing up for something that you understood what we were offering, if that makes sense. And then our MoveIn Days are, everyone will have a time slot. So not every hall has a time slot for every day of the week. So a lot of questions that I think we're hearing is that I didn't see the sign up time I wanted. And so the sign up times that are there are the times that are still available and the times available for that hall. So you may only see 2 days available. You may see more days. It just depends on the hall. And there is a time slot for everyone. It's just whether or not it's the time slot you prefer. So getting in and looking at the time slots, you can make changes to your time slots. And so I do want to let you know, I'll let you know a little bit later. I've got some dates for you further in to give you some things to plan with. And so there's a couple of things in there I'll also address about MoveIn Days. But on MoveIn Day, you can bring 2 guests. Students can bring 2 guests with them to campus. However, only 1 guest can accompany the student at a time in their room. And so, so one parent would hang out outside if both parents are with, and then you can exchange, and then the next one can go in, just to clarify that as well. And this is another great example of kind of a broad overview in terms of how we're going to give you. So for example, parking permits. We will send you parking permit information and everything you need as far as getting onto campus and what your move-in experience will specifically be like. So what's really important is right now you need to know about move-in and the days and the times that you have selected. But the very specifics of how that move-in will go will be coming to you after August 1st. The closer we wait to your arrival here, the more specific and accurate our information will be for you. At least if you're anything like me, it can be very frustrating to get information, to plan and coordinate, and then like a few days later or a week later be like, well, that wasn't what you told me a few weeks ago. So we're trying to avoid that as best as we can. So as we get closer to move-in, you will be getting more and more very specific information and very specific details. Also, we are very diligent on our move-in as well as our housing FAQs. They should, you can go ahead and click on that, Bree, and this is the move in and move out section. If you look up at this gold housing tab, at the top. Bree, can you scroll up just a little for me? Thank you. Right here, this housing tab. Can you click on that housing tab for me real quick, Bree? So this is the best place to find information. I'll show you how to navigate this. So right underneath Bree's cursor here, it says My CU Living Portal. That's where the students log into everything as it relates to housing. So their housing application is in there. If you haven't signed the amended contract, that's in there. Go ahead and sign that because that is in effect now, whether you've signed it or not. And I think it's a little clearer to read and understand. So that's in there. That's where they sign up for move-in times, pretty much everything that they're doing with us right now, or we're asking for information. They'll go to right here, this My CU Living Portal, and they'll log in there. Then if you look in this undergraduate housing tab just to the right, if you explore residence halls in Bear Creek, that will give you each and every residence hall. So as your student, all students for the most part have received all of their assignments. So we have details in each of these. So there's photos. If you're wondering about rooms, it have the most common room type and there's photos. We could just pick one really quick, Bree. Go ahead and pick Buckingham. Click on the blue name. And if you scroll down to the bottom, keep going, there you go. On this left-hand side with features, this will be able to answer, and this feature here on the right, these will answer most of your questions. It tells you what amenities come in the room. There are photos of the building, of the rooms, the address to the hall, although every student will receive their actual mailing address on August 3rd. So you'll see that box number is what they'll receive on August 3rd there. So this page will be very, very helpful to you and answer most of your questions. As well as if we can go back one more, back under that housing tab, perfect. And then you'll see rates and contracts. So if you wanted to look at the contract, the updated one is under here, as well as the rates for the room types. If you're a Bear Creek family, it's on the left. You have to click on Bear Creek on the left. And then if we could go back up to that same tab, if you're noticing, this is going to be a great spot for you to be looking at to get most of your information. Then move in and move out is where we were, and just below that is policies, forms, other things. So that housing tab is going to be a great resource for you. This is our move in and move out. So obviously this is something that's coming up. If we scroll down just a little bit for me, Bree, so how to prep for move in. This is going to give you your information of what to bring, what not to bring. What we offer every student is here and per room by per student. And so all of this will be, I think, probably a really great resource for you all as you're preparing to come to campus. And then that middle tab, as you go back, just go ahead and hit housing and then go to move in again. Okay, so here's all of your information about what the move-in process is going to be. I do know there were updates made to this last night. So keep checking this pretty regularly for updates. This is where we're posting all of the move-in information. So you'll see there's the schedules and then there's instructions, move-in parking. So as we are finalizing more and more information, these tabs will be updated. And if someone already has read the fall move-in schedules, like I said, I'm aware that last night some updates were made as well. So it may be good to just get into a habit of frequently looking at this page, maybe every couple of days, you know, at least once a week before you start coming to campus. Also, we will communicate information for you as well in email form. So the frequently asked questions will be helpful there as well. And then COVID testing. As we've been talking about, our expectation is that students will get a COVID test 5 days prior to arriving on campus. I've seen lots of questions come up now, as well as we receive a lot of questions in our office as well. Right now, our campus epidemiologists have indicated that 5 days out is the point where tests are most likely to catch things. And it's still reasonable to think that results could be back. So that is the reason for the 5 days. I know we've had lots of questions regarding that. And at this time, that is still where things are. As we get closer, you will get more and more information about what specifically that means. So one of the things, again, I'm just going to repeat what I said earlier. It may be helpful to be determining right now where you can get tested and what that looks like. Now, obviously, there is a lot going on in the country right now. And so we are consistently working with our local health professionals, with epidemiologists on a day-to-day basis. And so as the other, as I kind of alluded to earlier, there may be changes in all of this before we start getting to campus. So it's important to do the research that you can and understand what your process is now. And then as we get closer, it may be that it changes. We don't know. This is the information we have today, and we will continue to share that information. And then as updates come in, we will share updates with you as well. So it's hard to answer some of your questions because we just don't have any other information, and it's too early to really give any additional information. I know that's difficult in terms of planning. However, an example is, just on Friday, our entire state has face coverings inside any facility. Our campus policy is face coverings on campus, whether you're inside or outside, and if you cannot, and you have to maintain a 12-foot distance between the other person. So, so that's something that has updated for us just on Friday. So that's just another example of how day to day we're looking at everything and making adjustments as necessary. Safety is the most important thing, and we're doing what we can to make sure that our students and families can move in safely with us and join us and have a fall semester. And that is the reason for all of the decisions that are currently being made. Okay, so student email communication is really important. So the colorado.edu email accounts are the university's official form of communication. So everything we need to share with the students will go to their email account. So your students should be checking their Colorado email at least once per day. If you're expecting an email, I would check it a few times a day. And then as parents and families or guardians, please ask your student to forward you information that you are needing. So maybe set specific topics of information you're seeking. Bree did a really good job of sharing where you can find information on the family's websites, but the information that's going directly to the students can only go directly to the students. So you're gonna need to ask your student to share that with you. Also, in addition to the move-in FAQs, we also have housing FAQs. And right when you get onto our site at the very top, so this is a direct link to it. But one of the things I want to point out with these questions is these questions are the questions that are coming into my office at Student Housing regularly. So these are your questions. We didn't just decide what are good questions that family wants. These are the questions literally my team is telling me at the end of every day, the top questions that they're getting every day. And then we're posting them and adding them on here. We have categorized them. As soon as we have updates, we are going through and updating these for families. I can tell you on the 28th, there will be additional updates in these FAQs as well. And that's mostly for our students in phase 3 who are expecting a housing assignment email on the 28th. So you can see, you can see that these are all categorized to help you. I did notice that some of the questions that were being asked during the webinar are specifically asked and answered here. So if we don't get to your question, please take some time over the next few days and run through all of these. We've tried to address just about everything, and if we're noticing that something's not on there, we will happily be adding it. And I think we've kind of covered these last 2 bullets about where to find information through the Buff Family newsletter. And again, limited information goes out to families. Every once in a while, you will get an email from us, but for the most part, everything is going to the students. It should be expected that it goes to the students. So I thought this might be very helpful to you to understand what's coming up. Some key dates that are important over the next week or 2. So July 24th, which is Friday, this is when all students have to have their Buff 1 card photo uploaded. So a Buff 1 card is the card that the students carry on them always, I guess similar to a driver's license. It will give them access into their residence hall. It gives them access into their room. It gives them access to their meal plan is on it, their campus cash, which is the money that you load onto the card. So if they want to use that for laundry or printing or for any of the non-campus dining retail outlets. So campus dining is, some of our outlets for food are included in the meal plan and some are not. So the ones that are not included on the meal plan is where you would use your campus cash. So the Buff One card is super important. And so for the students to upload their photo by the 24th, these are being mailed home to students and they need to bring for move-in. If any of you are coming for drop-off days, we will have a temporary card to issue to the student. Your student must be with you for both drop-in days and move-in days. Unfortunately, we will not allow anyone else to have access. So the Buff One card photo needs to be uploaded by Friday. So check in with your student. If they haven't done this, please do it right away. It will impact your move-in if you do not have that uploaded because we can't send you the card. It's being mailed to your home address. Some of you may have already received them because I know we have started to send these. Most of everything that we do is on a rolling basis. So as the Buff One card office is getting them finalized, they are sending them out. So it is important to remember that if one student has received something, that doesn't necessarily mean you haven't yet. It's coming, and so it's not something to urgently worry about unless we're getting much closer to move in, and then that would be the time to worry. So July 28th, this is your deadline to choose your move-in time slot. Otherwise, it will be assigned to you. And I'm mostly talking to, here I'm talking to everyone in phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And phase 1 was our students who applied, forgive me, I don't have the dates right in front of me, but they applied between February and March per se. Phase 2 is kind of a March to early April, and then April to early May was phase 3. And then our phase 4 students are the students who applied after May 8th and are currently waitlisted for housing. So phase 3 students, most students in phase 1, 2, or 3 will have to sign up for move-in by July 28th. If you don't, that's okay. We're gonna sign up a move-in time for you. Phase 3 students, if anyone has not received an assignment yet, we sent a small group of students received an assignment indicating that they may be in a residential hotel. So students who are in a residential hotel on the 28th will get your confirmed assignment, which could be either to a residential hotel or to the residence halls. So if you're in phase 3 and you're expecting an assignment on July 28th, this is important. If you are assigned to the residence halls, you will need to sign up for your move-in time on the 28th. Otherwise, we will be assigning for you. Residential hotel students will sign up for their move-in time slot July 28th to July 30th. For everyone, the move-in time frame or move-in sign-up process will be shut down for a few days while we do those assignments, and then it'll reopen back up. So if we've assigned you to a time slot that really doesn't work for you, you can go back in and see if there's a different time slot that does. So I'd highly encourage everyone to sign up on their own first. And then if you need to, there will be some time in early August. There'll be some time for you to go in and make changes if you need to. And then August 1st is the date that we will start assessing our cancellation charges. So we have waived our application fee for any cancellation. So if anybody is considering that they may need to cancel, August 1st is when you will begin to receive those cancellation charges. So we want to make sure that you're aware of that. So if that is a decision that your family needs to make, you would want to do that before the 31st. Or if you're okay with the cancellation charges, then that's fine as well. But they will begin taking effect on August 1st. And then August 3rd is when we'll send all the final housing assignments. So this final assignment will include your room number, your roommate's name, and any information that we've been given permission to share by the student. It will also give your mailing address as well. So that email will be very important because it will give you all of the information that you need in preparation for move-in.
Thank you so much, Kim. And I did want to point out too that we see all of the questions in the Q&A and we are trying our best to get those questions answered. Please be patient with us. We are trying our best to keep up with all of those. And we will still have time to address those overarching questions here on the next slide. And then also I wanted to say something about the emails. I know when you and I chatted, Kim, you talked about how it's a huge email that takes a while to send out for that August 3rd one.
Yes, thank you so much for that reminder. So as some of you have probably already experienced, our emails, we aren't able to just send them in one big batch. So the emails go out essentially kind of one at a time, because we send the email to your student and we also put it into their MyCU Living portal. So as I showed you earlier with the MyCU Living portal, and I said that's the place where students are going to go in and do a lot of information, any emails that we send to them are also copied into there. So if they find that, especially if you are, if it's a Friday date that we're sending things, and it seems that the student hasn't received that email, it's always good to go check in the MyCU Living portal, because we also put a copy there as well. Because sometimes junk and spam filters out emails. So the MyCU Living portal will also have a copy of every email we've sent to your student. And they do take a while to go out. So I anticipate that on August 3rd, it will take us at least 8 hours or more to get all of the assignments sent out, because we are sending out over 8,000 assignments. So a couple of other things I just wanted to mention, which will also answer probably quite a few questions, is that we sent out an email last week that shared a few additional amenities that students can go into the MyCU Living portal and choose, yes, I would like to participate in this, or no, I would not. So home to home is, we work with the UPS store. So when your student gets on campus, their mail will go through UPS. Their mailbox is at the UPS center. And so they'll receive all of their packages at the UPS center. So the 17th was the deadline to sign up for home to home, to have the items taken directly from your home and placed directly into the student room. Anything that was signed up for after the 17th will go directly from your home and directly to their UPS center on campus. So we have 3 to 4 UPS centers within our campus communities that serve our housing. And if you are a residential hotel student, we will also work with you on home to home as well. So our campus marketing is the company that we work with that provides bedding and sheets and other room type things that you can order to decorate your room. We are also working very closely with them. So I know a lot of you have probably been getting some emails saying you didn't put a room number in. Please disregard those emails if you have received them. You can place an order without their room number. And if you do get that email, you can ignore it. I promise I am personally working with them to send all of your addresses to them, so that they have that information when they need it to proceed with this process. So even though you're not getting it until August 3rd, we will be providing it to them right around the same time as well. And so we will be able to support you with that. And then Lazy Bones Laundry Service is a local company that will do laundry service to students who are seeking that kind of service. What's great is that, some of the benefits of this is that if your student doesn't know how to do laundry, this is an alternative. We do provide laundry machines in every residence hall, in every facility that we have. This includes the residential hotels. And students can do coin laundry or put money on their Buff One card to do laundry. They absolutely have that option. It's about $1.25 to wash and $1.25 to dry. And then also, if they would like this service is they would partner with they would contract with Lazy Bones. They would come, they'd pick up their laundry, they'd launder it, and they bring it back, and they work with the student on that. And then GradGuard is student insurance. So renter's insurance is highly encouraged for our students. So, I'm sure none of us remember, if we were ever living in the halls, an accidental football getting thrown down the hallway. Obviously something we don't want to happen, because once in a while those hit a sprinkler head, and the amount of damage that it causes is no fun for anyone. So what's great about having renter's insurance is that if that kind of thing happens, then that covers. Some families, their homeowner's insurance may cover their student in a residence hall. So being aware of that there is a need for this at times. And so if you don't have renter's insurance, GradGuard is a great company that it really is good for the students. It will cover bike theft, laptop, personal property. It's at a really competitive rate. So if you're interested in, great. If you're not interested in any of these items, you can just say, I'm not interested. There is no, it's completely just up to you. Additional options that you may or may not want to participate with. Okay, so,
Yes.
oh.
No, you're fine. Thank you so much. I just wanted to jump in and give you a minute to catch your breath. And we wanted to start by opening up the Q&A with some of the most asked questions. So Kim's going to kind of talk through some of these that we already know have been on your mind. And then we will look at the Q&A and see what other ones that would be easy for us to answer live. So yeah, Kim, take it away.
All right, so these are, for both us and for you, the most difficult questions to answer. So why can't we pick our roommates? So students who were in phase 1 and 2, if I could just back up for a moment and help explain a little bit of kind of what we're all experiencing. So those of you who are phase 1 and 2 families, which is quite a few families on this webinar, your experience has been probably the most confusing to name that. Your students have been applying since February, and all the way until May 23rd, we had a lovely plan put into place and posted on our website, and we had what we typically are able to offer. And then on May 23rd, the chancellor made the announcement to all of us at the same time that they have made the decision that for us to open in the fall, there were very specific things that we needed to do. And so through that process, as we all learned together, the process we previously had in place was no longer going to work for us to be able to house students on campus in the fall. And so so those of you who do understand what the phases are, I saw some questions earlier that you weren't sure. So what the phases were is phase 1 and phase 2 gave us, you had a very set thing. Phase 1, you applied during this time, you got your building assignment on this date, and you will get to do all of these different things on these dates. And then phase 2, you got to do almost all of those same things. And then phase 3, you were more limited. And so what happened on May 23rd was that everything prior to that we could offer you, we could no longer offer you, and we had to start all over again. And I think that was the most confusing thing for families, and the most, quite honestly, devastating things for us. And so we kind of had to go back to the drawing board. What we wanted to do was still honor phases, because we felt like students kind of had an identity. Our students and families call all the time and they're like, we're phase 1, we're phase 2. So we felt like you understood what the phases were. And really the only thing we could continue to honor was that as phase 1, you could get the information we could provide moving forward first. And phase 2, you would be right behind. And then phase 3, we actually didn't change much of your options, at least in terms of the communication you would be receiving. So the biggest challenge we faced was that phase 1 students had already been given assignments. And as we moved to cohorting, cohorting was a new term that we all learned: families, housing, academics. And so we kind of had to figure out what cohorting meant and how to go about doing it. And the basic idea behind cohorting is that it's defined into groups of people who stick together. And the biggest concern that we had in moving forward in the fall from the local health professionals, our epidemiologists, was intermixing groups. And so moving forward, cohorts became groups of people. So we previously had offered different living experiences, whether it be LLCs, the traditional experience, or RAPs. And then starting May 23rd, we now offer a first year experience for every student, which is more similar to what we were offering with the RAPs before. And so every student is now a first year experience student, where you are going to be with the same people in your, and it just depends on which college of acceptance you were in. It's either your college, your major, your more finite grouping of major. Cohorting is defined very differently depending on whether it is arts and science or if it's education. And it's just due to the nature and the size of it, and then how classes are being formulated. So between housing and academics, cohorts are created. And so with that, it changed what we could offer. And so moving forward, we offered everything we thought we could as best we could. But from May 23rd on, we basically changed the entire process and what we could offer students and families. So to get back to the question, June 2nd through 7th, phase 1 and phase 2 students were given the option to select a mutual roommate. And then we received lots of mutual roommate requests. And then one of the challenges we faced that we didn't understand we were going to face is that as we began the cohorting process and definition and implementation, then it became very clear that we weren't going to be able to honor many of those unless students were in the same cohort. So students who applied between June 2nd and 7th, we told them on July 10th whether or not we could make that happen. And so they were able to be connected with their roommate. Outside of that, there are now, we had 24 residence halls, and now we have over 100 cohorts. And so it is just not feasible for us to be able to do a roommate process that involves the student requesting a roommate. So we are pairing roommates together in as they filled out their housing application using their housing preferences. And we will send that information out to you August 3rd. And it's important to be prepared now as we go into this next question that we are not going to be able to make changes to housing assignments. And that includes roommates. And so because of our cohorting, we cannot move students outside of the cohort that they have been assigned to. And so as we move forward, we aren't going to, it'll just depend on, we're assessing every day. So it'll just depend on what happens as we move forward. But right now at this moment in time, it does not look like we will be able to offer changes to roommates or changes to housing. If we are able to do that, we'll continue to assess, but none of those changes would be able to happen any earlier than August 31st. What will the dining experience look like? So dining is working really hard. What's wonderful is we live in an absolutely beautiful community, and by beautiful, I mean the weather is amazing here. So that means that outdoor dining experiences are really in our favor. And so dining is working on creating spaces outdoors where students can enjoy their meals. They will have a lot more grab and go. They will also have a lot more made to order type of dining. And as we get closer to getting onto campus, we'll have more specifics around that. With cleaning and yes.
Oh, one other thing I wanted to add about dining as well is the biggest takeaway is that really we're not going to be changing the quality of the food that we will be offering. CU Boulder has wonderful options for different dietary needs and dietary restrictions. So if your student maybe has a vegan, gluten-free, kosher diet, or any of those things, we will still be making sure that whatever the dining experience looks like with more of these made to order and grab and go options, that those are still a top priority. So I just wanted to add that note in as well, and then we'll turn it back over to you about cleaning and sanitation.
Of course, great ad, because I wouldn't have thought to think that, you know, we have such great high standards for our dining and a great dining experience. So thank you so much for that. And then cleaning and sanitation, we are increased our cleaning of our schedule constantly. That is something that every high point touch surface is being cleaned regularly. Our offices are all being cleaned regularly. The residence halls are being cleaned at a higher standard, and there's a lot being put into place to enhance this. Now, one thing to be mindful of is if your student is assigned to a individual private bath option, whether that's a shared bath or their own, everyone who is using that, and it's not a community bath, is responsible for their own cleaning. So the best thing you could do to help prepare your student before they come is teaching them how to clean and sanitize and prepare them with those supplies coming in.
Thank you. And then I did see a few questions about what will the rec center look like and what will activities look like? What are our students going to be able to do? And to echo a little bit of what Kim shared, we are still developing day to day and getting updates from the campus on what all of those exact details will get to look like. An example might be the rec center can still be used, but a student will need to sign up for a workout time in advance and reserve their time. And only a certain number of students will be allowed in each time slot so that we're keeping up with that physical distancing and keeping the density low. So that's just an example of how it could look. We are waiting to hear more about what some of those common spaces will look like. And then our office, New Student and Family Programs, helps plan the orientation events during fall welcome, so that week of welcome. And our website has some of the categories of things that we're going to be offering and hosting, and then more details to come in early August about when and where and what these options will look like. But if you visit our website, so again, New Student and Family Programs, on the Fall Welcome tab, you can see that we're going to be offering different sessions to explore CU, for buffs to meet up, different late night programs, and then there'll also be college days and residential hall welcome. So please stay tuned to this website to see more information about what exactly those will look like.
Bree, if I could just jump in really quickly, I just wanted to make a comment to the group, just acknowledging that all students are required to also take a COVID-19 course, which is outlining the new policies and procedures on campus and how students will be held accountable for upkeeping those. So just want to make sure that that's on everyone's radar. They need to complete that by August 1st. So there's a lot of information outlined there. In addition to that, we are working with our strategic communications office to ensure that parents are informed about what those policies will look like. And so information will be forthcoming specifically to parents through our newsletter in the next near future.
Thank you so much for adding that in, Amber. And here on the website, I did pull up just so you could see if you're like, wait, what was that Amber shared about that COVID-19 course on Canvas? Your students will access that the same way they accessed our online experience. Great, so with the time that we do have left, we may be able to answer one or two common questions, but we want to acknowledge we did not get to everyone's questions. And so please take a picture of this slide. We are accessible. The student housing contact information is listed here. And then before I put it on the next slide, you will get to see our contact information for New Student and Family Programs one more time. So before I go to our final slide and we launch our exit poll, Kim or Amber, were there any other general questions that you wanted to address with the group?
I think I'm good. I think I saw some really individualized questions through the Q&A. So feel free, if you don't get your question answered here today, then go ahead and email us, and we will be happy to respond to you. Just please know it might take us 24 to 48 hours to get back to you on email, but you can always call us as well, and we will get back to you very quickly. The thing about CU Boulder that I think is fascinating is that we offer lots. We want our students to be able to get their needs met. So sometimes that can also be like a strength and a challenge, right? Because we do offer so many different opportunities for our students to be connected and engaged, that sometimes your question that you have may be a little bit more specific to an option your student is getting. So if you feel like you weren't answered in the general question, or maybe you're a little confused by an answer that you got because it seems a little bit different for you, go ahead and email us and we'll be happy to address that with you. Thank you. And I just also want to say, I really appreciate everybody on here today. It's great to be connected with you. And if I could just ask for one thing, is that give us a call and call us, with some excitement and energy, because we are excited to have you, and we will do everything we can to get your questions answered. And just please be patient with us, because we may not be able to give you what you want, but we are happy to share with you anything we can to make you feel like you got your questions answered and you understand what's happening. So please know we're very excited to be able to have your student join us, and we're doing everything we can to make that a really great experience.
Thank you so much. And I will put up just our final slide. Please stay connected with New Student and Family Programs and Student Housing. Here's our information again as well. And we thank you so much for joining us today. I know not everyone was able to get all of their questions answered, but for anything individualized, if you had a question about a specific residence hall or a specific need, please let us know and we can also help get you connected. I just launched our poll, so we would love for you to let us know if this webinar was helpful in providing information to you about on-campus housing. Do you feel confident as a student or supporting your student with information about on-campus housing after this webinar? And do you feel connected to CU Boulder and or housing or new student and family programs after attending this webinar? We are very thankful for you all, and we tried to get through as many of the Q&As. I know there are still 79 questions in there, but we are happy to email, text, call. Our website also has a live chat feature. So if you just want to go ahead and pop your question into the live chat, we can also help you that way. These lovely students who are our enthusiastic journey leader mentors will be staffing the office the rest of the day. So we are available, and some of the NSFP staff, new student and family program staff that you heard talking, will also be available. So let us know. We have more coffee hours and webinars coming up, so stay connected, and Go Buffs. Hope you all have a great rest of your day.